There's a PowerPoint and there's a...
I think it was this one, right?
Yeah, that's it. So you want to show them on the thing?
Yeah, I will.
I think this computer has PowerPoint.
It doesn't? Yeah, it should have PowerPoint, man. Is he going to get another one? Yeah. Is he going to get it? He's going to get another laptop?
No, no. It's fine. It doesn't open PowerPoint.
This is the one here, sure?
Yeah, Journey of Life?
The series final one's all that says?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I have a way. Just Google this. Sorry.
You can use docs?
Yeah,
Or
I'm just gonna
slides?
take it off.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So while we're waiting for this, alhamdulillah, everybody's back. We have students here for this class. And this year, we're hoping to add another component to our class. and this is really for your benefit. And that is that we will try to structure some questions. You know, after each lesson, there's going to be some questions. Okay, and then you will be able to go online and to see where the questions are and to answer the questions. And some of the questions will ask for a few sentences. You know, it'll be like an essay question. You know, and this, you know, is a way, and then when we come back, we can discuss the questions. You know, so this way, we can hold on to the information, you know, even more. And this also gives me feedback to make sure that everybody is, you know, following okay. So we're gonna show, you know, how to do it, you know, once we get this thing straight. And you know, basically, my questions are. This is not a test. Yeah, this is not a test of your ability. It's not fail or pass. You know, paradise or hell. You know, so it's nothing to be afraid of. People say test and everybody gets nervous about tests, right? It's not like that. It's really for you to, you know, to absorb the information. You know, and the way I teach the classes, generally, there's a lot of extra information. So therefore, as we go through, you will have the PowerPoint here, right? And then take notes, because there's going to be certain points that will come up that you're not required. So take notes also. Put down your ideas and your thoughts. If you have any questions about certain things that come up, you know, write down the question, you know, so that we can all benefit, you know, from the question. You know, and so this is generally the concept of the class itself. And you with Al-Maghrib Institute, where I teach, the history department for Al-Maghrib. And I basically say, the reality, my class will have a lot of information, inshallah, but the test is easy. And if you were awake, you'll pass. If you weren't awake, I can't guarantee that you'll pass the test. But if you were awake during my class, inshallah, it should be pretty clear what the answer is. So the idea is not to, pass you or fail you, but it is to give more inspiration for us, to hold on to this information. Because this information that we're talking about, is information not just for information. It is ilmun nafi', what Imam Shafi'i called beneficial knowledge. So we want to look at some of the questions and deal with some of the issues that are really important for people today. And honestly, I believe that, some of the topics that we're to cover, inshallah, that if people knew topics are, there should be so many people attending this class that there's no room in the parking lot. If people really understood how serious this issue is. But people today, as in the past, tend to escape. But I think it was Cineplex. And it said, escape with us, right? So it says, escape with us. So the idea is escape from reality with us into another reality, okay? So wrong with relaxation. But there are certain issues which are critical issues that we have to have an understanding of. Because we will face these issues, they're coming, and they're becoming more and more clear in front of our eyes. So it's important for us to have an Islamic understanding, meaning an understanding based on Quran and Sunnah, the revelation, of some of these issues that we are about to face. So what we want to do is to try to, in the beginning, understand something about the world with politicians and other things that you may have heard of when you're trying to understand this, because we're actually coming very close to the appearance of an Antichrist. So we need to know what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us about the appearance of an Antichrist through the tongue of the last messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What did we learn? And for the most part, in our Islamic educations, we don't necessarily learn this. We will learn the ritualistic parts of Islam, but when it comes to some of these very important issues dealing with the last days and dealing with the unseen, it is reserved to the scholars, right, or the Sufis, whatever. But it is supposed to be available to the common Muslim, to all of us. We're supposed to have a knowledge of this. We don't have the knowledge of somebody who spent their whole life studying, but at least knowledge to be able to decipher truth from falsehood, basically. So this is the important thing, to have a taste for the knowledge, dhawq. Right? Once that taste for the knowledge is there, then we are able to decipher what is true from what is false. Okay, so this really is the intention of the class itself, and hopefully, inshallah, it's intended that you can be involved also in the class, and through the questions and through the PowerPoint that will be made available to you at the end of the class, you can actually maintain what you are learning, and I will be giving you references, some reference books that you can purchase. Many things are available online. Many of these books have actually been translated into English. So you can get some of these classical texts, you know, and begin to get a grip on some of this information. And then when you see things happening in the world, cataclysmic, you know, things going on, the apocalypse going on, then, you know, we can understand really what, you know, what is happening. I remember a couple years ago, I was in Florida, and I was about to go out. It was morning time to teach this class. And then I had the television on trying to get the news, and it switched on to a religious Christian teacher. Oral Roberts is his name. He's a famous preacher in America. And this was some years ago in the early 2000s. And yeah, there's more chairs here for the brothers can be there. It was in the early 2000s. And he was talking to his people, and he has hundreds and thousands of followers, if not millions of followers. And it was really at the beginning of the Syrian war, the latest Syrian war. And he was commenting on the war. And what caught me as I was leaving, he said that the forces of resistance, right, who are fighting against the government of Syria. Okay? Of course, there's a lot of politics going on, there's all these groups, but he said, keep your eye on these forces. He said, because if they are victorious, the Antichrist is amongst them. That's what he said. This is Oral Roberts, right? He said, watch the Syrian army. If they win, the Antichrist is amongst them. So this was a serious signal that he's sending to his followers. Now, what they mean by the Antichrist, who they think it is another question. And inshallah, this is only one of the issues that we will explore. And they have fed the youth a series of movies and programs and understanding about the Antichrist as well, who the Antichrist actually is. And we want to look at some of this from the popular point of view, and then also maybe from the point of view of the religious texts, mainly of the Christians and the Jews, and then from our perspective, to try to understand this. And it's shocking when you put the three together. You will see how close they are and how the Islamic understanding clears up the confusion in the other two. Right? It actually takes in the understanding of the other two and clears it up and brings a clear discussion about what is going on in the world today. So this really is the important issue that we want to look at. But before we start the class, are they almost ready now, Ma'amu? Do you know?
I think we might have to do it after.
Right. Before we start the class, I want to open up the floor. Does any questions anybody has about the questions? Okay, what it's going to be? So each week, this online, there will be some questions there. You go there and whatever and answer the questions. You know, we will provide for you the system as to how to do it. Not this week. It'll be coming in next week. We will provide the system as to how to, you know, answer these questions. Okay?
You can go through it real quickly if you want to do it. We can
Yeah. So do you have a? Can you bring that up there? So then they can look at that. Yeah. Now, there was a course that I taught some years ago, Journey to the Hereafter, some years back. Did any of you attend that course? No, I think none of you did. Okay. Yeah. So this really, this course itself came to light. Really, it started for me the importance of this course. It actually began, I was in Medina. and I had left. I was leaving the Prophet's mosque, and it was alayhi salatu wasalam, and it was after Dhuhr. And there was a voice in Arabic, a teacher. Dr. Tariq Suwaidan is his name. He's from Kuwait. And he's a very well-known speaker. He even came here before with the Reviving the Islamic Spirit, the RISC conference. He was in the first couple of conferences. He was one of the ones that originally organized it. And as I was leaving the masjid, you know, he was talking about the Antichrist. He was talking about Dajjal. You know, and it was like I just followed his voice, right, and went to the place where he had a series there, and, you know, I listened to his series. Idea came about, and so this is a continuation of that type of thing. Okay? Do you want to show them that thing?
They just have an issue with their laptop. They just have to hook it up, so we're just gonna wait for it.
Okay.
Can we do it after Salah?
Oh, okay. So after Salat, we want to start right in with the class, right?
They're just not ready looking at it.
Everyone has the HDMI on the.
That one doesn't have HDMI on the thing. This one doesn't have PowerPoint.
Okay. I usually walk with my laptop. Today I said I didn't.
Actually, me too. I didn't bring it. There's like 4 other ones downstairs in the office.
Any other general questions anybody wants to ask before we actually start the class? Go ahead, Ram.
So what are the books that you're going to be using as the source material for the class?
Yeah.
What are the books?
Basically, you know, it comes from a number of the texts, you know, concerning the last days. But there is one scholar, his name is Dr. Umar al-Ashqar. He's a Jordanian scholar. And he did a series where he's dealing with, and I'm going to give you the reference when that comes, you know, but he did a series in dealing with Hadith Jibreel, you know, where the Prophet ﷺ is saying, you know, what is Islam, what is Iman, what is Ihsan, you know, and he dealt with, you know, a lot of the, you know, issues there. And what is good about his approach is that he has a direct way of doing it, you know, bringing the sources and making it very clear. You know, so his approach is sort of a base, you know, that I use, Dr. Umar al-Ashqar, you know, as, you know, base. The first part that we're going to deal with tonight is from Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi. Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, rahimahullah. And he was a great scholar who died in the 7th century after the Hijrah, a Syrian scholar. And he did a abbreviated version of Ihya Ulumuddin of Imam al-Ghazali. So he went through that, and he, you know, corrected certain points, took out some arguments or things that might not be so clear to the students, and made an abbreviated version. Okay, and so tonight we're, you know, his work is going to be part of the text, you know, in terms of approaching the beginning, so the orientation, you know, of this, and then we will go in. But when it comes to the signs of the last days, my approach is a little bit different, you know, because I'm connecting it with today. And this started happening to me in Medina, you know, when we were studying, you know, the signs of the last days and what would happen. And the teachers were bringing certain information. And they would just bring it, you know, for information's sake. But it was hitting some of the students, especially the few of us that were from the West, what it actually was. And for instance, the Prophet, you know, they said, the Prophet ﷺ said that one of the signs of the last days is that the Bedouin would talk into his riding whip. He would talk to the riding whip. Okay, this is the iqal. So the iqal is the black rings that, you know, many Arabs wear. It's a nice design now. for their gutra, but that's not originally what it was. Originally, it was a riding whip, okay, or a camel, and then they just tie it around to hold their top piece on. It's the iqal. And so, you know, the Prophet, peace be upon him, gets the information, and he describes it as he has seen it. And I was, you know, in Medina, going past the Bari. This is the old post office, Bab al-Anbariya. It's going toward the Turkish train station, if you know Medina. Okay, but that time it was all built up, right up to the mosque. So I was passing there, and there was a Askari police soldier who was talking, and he had a walkie-talkie. And in those days, the walkie-talkie is the old one, had a piece like this, right? And he's, you know, talking into it. When I looked at him, he's a Bedouin, and he's talking into this thing that looks like a whip or something. You know, and then I realized this could have been a vision that the Prophet ﷺ had about the last days. He's a person living 1,400 years ago. They don't have this technology. He can look at the person and see he's Bedu. He's Bedoui, right? And he's talking into this thing. Okay, but for us, it's a walkie-talkie. It's a device to talk. We have people now who walk down the street. I still can't get used to this. The person's walking down the street and he's talking. You know, yes, yeah, how is it? You know, they're just talking, right? But, you know, it's the phone, right? But when I was growing up, it's only, you know, it's only a few years ago, if somebody walked down the street like that, he's a madman. He's out of his mind, talking to the air, and laughing and having a good conversation, right? So imagine somebody 1,400 years ago, right, getting a vision of this person walking down the street talking. He will describe it in the way that he saw, not realizing, you know, the technology. So from our point of view, you know, we can actually bring the text and we can analyze it in a slightly different way. Okay, so the, you know, these things are going on. And some experiences, you know, that you know, we had, we want to share with you, you know, relative to, you know, what is going on. Because this issue, did you want to say something? Yeah. Go ahead.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. No.
So I'm sorry, guys, I didn't mean to interrupt the show. So everybody has registered on the Thinkific website. Is everybody registered online? Has anybody registered online? Everybody.
All right.
I went to the office, but there was no one there.
No, online. Oh, I'm in the office. Okay, so most of the stuff that we've been doing for the past couple of semesters was we've been basically now moving towards the online content. So everything that we actually are doing here is also available for you online. This semester, the Sheikh has also already mentioned this at the beginning of the class. There's a different element that's added onto the classroom as well, which is now there are also tests. I mean, he likes to make it easy. We don't want it to be easy. But it is also a part of your learning. It's not like, I mean, he's not going to embarrass you if you get a 0. But it's a part of also how you actually learn, how you actually engage, and for you to test out, are you actually getting the information or not. Some of these tests are really easy. I don't think you're going to go with more than 5 questions. Very simple sometimes, true and false, sometimes just choose one the answer, and there is one question that's always going to be basically writing out what it is that you're talking about, okay? So that's online. We're on the Thinkific website. If you go to the page where you can register, you go and you click on it and you go on, and every single class, you see the whole class that we have here, the PowerPoint and the video of the Sheikh as well, so you can go through it, right? We don't encourage anyone not to be here at any given time. We want for you to be here, but you know, winter is coming. So if you miss a class or anything as such, you're gonna have that class on that website as well. So I want you all to be on that website and for you to continuously check the test. And if if you don't, we're going to make it. I hope this works out. Right? If you don't do a test, you don't see the next class. So you don't just like, you don't cruise, okay? Like you have to do the test. It's not a big deal, honestly. There's nothing's going to happen out of it. If you get 0 out of it, you'll just know that for instance, that you didn't get the information, and then you get to ask the Sheikh some of the questions, right? And at the beginning of every class, I think the Sheikh is also going to take up those questions that he's offered on.
So now walking everybody through,
Yeah.
I mean,
So now once we
is,
have the computer,
is everybody, how many people are online with this thing?
yeah.
I was registered for last course, so yeah.
You were registered in the last course?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Should
then
be
you should,
online.
yeah, you should, as soon as you register on there, you should actually just be able to log in with the same login that you had last year, and you have access to the class right now.
Okay, let me ask the question. How many people are not online with this class?
Yeah, you haven't registered? Okay. Yeah.
How many people don't use online? Just be, you know, if you don't, you don't.
Everybody uses it online.
Okay, there's one is online.
Yeah, I mean, the Thinkific website is really nice because you can even use it on the phone. It's really, really adaptable. So even if you have your phone, you're driving, you want to listen to the lecture again, you want to watch it again on video, you're sitting in your house doing whatever it is, you just do it on your phone. It's really, really cool, and you can actually do the test also on your phone, so you don't need a real computer. I mean, when we say online, it's nothing like that at all, okay?
Okay, so maybe what we can do, excuse me, maybe what we can do is like an information sheet for next class. So you,
So we're gonna run a
yeah,
tutorial
like a
online, so you have
tutorial,
to show a
where you walk everybody, you walk it through it. So you say, you know, go to the website such and such, you know, hit this, hit that. It's gonna walk. It should walk you through it, right? So you can get to it.
I promise you, you actually get so much more out of the content than just coming in and listening and just kind of getting the actual lecture itself. There's more discussion that you have as well on there. You can also talk to each other, by the way, which is a really cool feature on there. So if you actually know the people who are registered with you, if you have somebody who made a comment, you can respond to him on there. The Sheikh is also going to log on there once in a while and kind of offer questions and discussion points and so on and so forth, right? So it's really important for your learning as well, and also, the progress of how we're trying to deliver our courses, inshallah. I mean, the Institute, when it started out 20 years ago, right? Everybody was in a classroom, but now everybody's basically kind of too busy, right? And we want to reach out as many people as possible, right?
So what's the website again?
So you go to islam.ca,
Yeah.
right? And then in there, you go to the actual courses. I will show it to you, inshallah, when I have the ability to do it. It's from there. So you know how to get there. Yeah, yeah. As soon as you... Yeah, so once you log on there, we'll be able to start you off.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions before we go? So inshallah about that.
Anyhow, next week we're going to try to give you some definite information to walk through, so you can see how to do that. But don't worry about that. I mean, I told some of my students that I was born in BC, right? You know BC, like they say AD, BC? BC, right? Because it was only in the 90s when they started bringing in these big computers. It's only the 90s, right? I was in the University of Toronto doing some work. So it's not a long time. But there is a generation of people, which I am amongst them, who were not born, with a cell phone in their pocket, little baby on the phone. We weren't born in this time period. Okay, but once you get into it, it's easy. Once you get the basic system of it, then you won't turn back around. So inshallah, we'll provide it next week. We're going to break for salat. We'll come right back after salat.
So where does he work? Saudi Arabia.
Which way is the Fitnah? Because I can't go down.
So the royal family. So the problem is he can't come here. Because if he is passport at the moment,
Yeah, it's
but he's retiring in November. Inshallah, he's moving
we're
back.
working on it.
Because my daughter,
Anyway, I'll just
some of
bring
them,
it.
they live in Jamaica, I told you.
Yeah, he mentioned.
She came.
Was it okay?
Yeah, but she flew Canada.
Oh, you guys have a
But in
micro
terms of her
HDMI?
visa and whatnot,
A micro HDMI, like the smaller one? Because I
I
also
can't
want to have a
open
surface in my
But
car.
keep in,
and she's playing
No, we
again.
no, we don't.
I didn't know that, because he was worried, like, when he
No,
canceled his
it
trip.
wasn't. But the only thing is,
I have to go to my car. No, the same way I have a micro HDMI, like, you know, the smaller HDMI, because I have my laptop in my car, I couldn't run it.
حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله استوى تطلب الصلاة والحمد لله الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين قل يا أهل الكتاب هل تنقمون منا إلا أن آمنا بالله وما أنزل إلينا وما أنزل من قبل وأن أكثركم فاسقون قل هل أنبئكم بشر من ذلك مثوبة عند الله من لعنه الله وغضب عليه وجعل منهم القردة والخنازير وعبد الطاغوت أولئك شر مكانا وأضل عن سواء السبيل وإذا جاءوكم قالوا آمنا وقد دخلوا بالكفر وهم قد خرجوا به والله أعلم بما يكتمون وترى كثيرا منهم يسارعون في الإثم والعدوان وأكلهم السحت لبئس ما كانوا يعملون لولا ينهاهم الربانيون والأحبار عن قولهم الإثم وأكلهم السحت لبئس ما كانوا يصنعون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإذا جاءوكم قالوا آمنا وقد دخلوا بالكفر وهم قد خرجوا به والله
لولا ينهاهم الربانيون والأحبار عن قولهم الإثم وأكلهم لبئس ما كانوا يصنعون. وقالت اليهود يد الله مغلولة غلت أيديهم ولعنوا بما قالوا بل يداه مبسوطتان ينفق كيف يشاء وليزيدن كثيرا منهم ما أنزل إليك من ربك طغيانا وكفرا وألقينا بينهم العداوة والبغضاء إلى يوم القيامة كلما أوقدوا نارا للحرب أطفأها الله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا والله لا يحب المفسدين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're here for a class today, I'd like to welcome you. Inshallah, I hope that your being a student at IIT will be beneficial for you. If you're not here for a class, I'd like to encourage Sh.Abdullah Hakim's class today is free. You can sample this class today. It goes until 9 p.m. And it's about the journey of life. And today's class is about the deception, the dangers of deception and this journey of life. So we're in the library, reading room upstairs. Also tomorrow, Sh.Abdullah Hakim, inshallah, will be starting his class on vocabulary of the Quran. So even if we don't know Arabic language, if we have enough vocabulary, we will get the gist of what is being recited in the prayer, inshallah. Again, this is from 7 to 9, and you can come and sample that class, inshallah, and then determine whether you want to attend it or not. These classes are also streamed live, so if you're a student and you're registered, you can be at home and consume the class from home, inshallah. We have a number of other classes. It's on our website, islam.ca, and please grab a flyer from outside. We have the list of classes. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, there's a bathroom. Walk down the hallway, it's just the stairs on the thing.
Straight down?
Yeah. No problem.
I didn't see it, but you mean this way?
Yeah, that one.
Oh.
So I was so confused. I think for this, I think it's this one here. You know where it is? Yeah, it's completely different one. Yeah, it's called the Journey. I'm getting exchange it free. Do you know where this one is? I'm in the wrong.
That's downstairs. Yeah.
Downstairs where?
I think one of those classrooms down there.
Okay, I'll just check.
I'm in the wrong.
I knew it.
I'll just check it up there for in the wireless.
Are you gonna stream it?
I'm gonna check if it's streaming right now.
I'm gonna put it on this one just in case I don't crash it. Okay.
Good? Yeah. Finally. I was getting worried about you guys. Okay, so I need power here. Can you give me power? I need more than that. Why are you guys so, I'm gonna switch you up to the last one. I don't have the key for that.
How are you? There's my sister.
Saving money, right?
Sweating this room.
Yeah, that's a couple of the sisters.
Yeah, yes, yes. Yeah.
Everything's up and running.
It's a responsibility. I'm counting